Good evening, good evening. Oh my word, I think I've actually nailed it with the lighting for once. Think so. I'll just wait and see who's all tuning in tonight. Let me know in the chat if you mind. Let me know if you're here. And while we're waiting, yes, it's fabulous in Italy. Yes, the weather has been a mixed bag yesterday and today, but before that it was really sunny, thankfully, and we're going to hit another wee sunny spell in the coming days, so happy days to that. I am going to be, as you all know, reading from my book, Uncertainty. I'll get that way. Uncertainty is Your Superpower. And you can, in the description, get a link to the book, which is on Amazon on paperback or Kindle. Kindle. So no requirement to have the book to tune in here, but that is what I'm reading from. So if you would like to use it take notes from it and use it as a guide, then by all means, that's where you will find it. We got to chapter 9 last week, and I only did half of it because there's quite a lot in that one chapter, so I decided just to split it into two. And I have got, let's see, live chat, change it there. So I've got the second part of chapter 9, and chapter 9 was the messy middle, faith, fear, and finding my way. So I'll be diving into the second part of that. What are we at time-wise? Let's have a look. It's 1 minute past. I think I'm just going to dive in, and anyone that joins, if you're watching this on catch up, remember you can get the book in the description, get the link to Amazon. If you want to leave anything, comments, thoughts, questions, put it into the YouTube chat, just into the comments. I come back to everybody. So if you have got something to say, something you'd like to share, by all means, leave a comment and I will come back to you. I'll remind everybody just again, it's not therapy, it's not coaching, it's not a workshop, it's just me reading passages from my book and opening up topics that I speak with people daily about. So these are opportunities for you to share your own insight, your own thoughts, experiences, maybe ask questions. We all learn from each other at the end of the day. And my book is really just a mirror to open up that inner dialogue with self. So without further ado, I am just going to get started into chapter 9, the second part of it. And whoever joins on, you'll just tune in when you do. So just to remind you that the last part that we looked at was talked about me planning to have a business and if it was possible. We talked about the budget, where would it operate it from, what services would it offer, and then started to make a list, because there's one thing about making a list with all the practicalities are that it brings it closer to reality. So when you actually put it out into the universe and you start pulling the facts together, it just makes it more real, because you can actually see on paper, this is probably doable. So that's where I got to. I had to ask myself, can I leave NHS 24? Can I give my car up to make things financially more doable? And can I go all in with a business? And I did. And that's where we left it last week. So starting back from this same chapter, I handed in my notice to NHS 24 at the end of October 2019. And I was away by the end of November. The car was gone by the following week, and I barely missed it since. There's an absolute freedom in not having a car. I wasn't sad to leave. I was ready to go. I left with even more tenacity than I arrived, and with a new soulmate. Friendship. Thank you for being my lifeline during those 9 months. You know who you are. About 2 weeks after leaving, I received my diploma in analytical hypnotherapy and immediately started my business. I set up social media, for the first time on Facebook at the age of 43, and I got started. In those early days, I saw people at my house on a gorgeous, soft grey recliner that matched the room perfectly. I always had a blanket and a cushion ready for them as well. It felt safe, warm and cosy, and that mattered. Session by session, my belief in myself grew. I was still terrified before every client, but over time, it eased. I started recognising something else too. So many of their problems mirrored my own or someone I loved. It made me want to learn more and more. And through this, the more I worked, the more I healed as well. And every time a client let go of something that once held them hostage, every time they came back to brighter and braver, a little part of me lit up too. I was changing in so many ways. I'd cut down on almost all of my old wild ways. The nights out, the boozy weekends, they just didn't align anymore. It wasn't about being perfect, it was about alignment. I was building something sacred and I needed to protect it. The old ways flew in the face of the life I was building. I wanted to live my truth. I figured out fairly early on what kind of client work lit me up and what drained me. I knew the type of business I wanted to build, one that blended everything: therapy, hypnotherapy, coaching, mindfulness, mindset, you name it. A place where people didn't just heal, they grew. After all, why should somebody stop at the point of pain relief? Why not show them that they could rise? Some clients wanted that, some didn't, and that was okay. But I knew what I was here for. For me, it was never about being a hypnotherapist, a coach, or any specific label. It was also never about just one tool. It was always the whole person, their whole life, a whole healing experience from the inside out. You've heard of the ripple effect, yeah? That's what it's like when you start working on yourself. Let me explain. You probably have one area in your life that you'd like to make a change in, to achieve something or to feel better in some way. So you start there. Stress management, anxiety relief, stop overthinking and doubting yourself, trauma healing, whatever it is, you usually start with one thing that's top of your mind that's troubling you. Or you might not be sure what's at the root of what's keeping you stuck, but you know that you want to do more with your life, have healthier, happier relationships, go after that dream job, change careers or start a business or earn more money, or maybe just feel more peace and freedom in your life. Whatever it is, you usually have one thing that's at the front of your mind. I'm sure as you're reading this, or in this case, listening, you already are thinking of something. Why not take a note of it, keep it fresh, and make that your starting point for creating the change that you want? When you get to the root of what's troubling you, you can grow from there. That's the ripple effect. Start with the one area, peel back the layers like an onion, get to the root of the issue, and initiate the healing and rebuilding process. Trust me, when you start this way, you'll fly through your goals and make even more changes in life than you imagined. It's never just one single thing, but there's always one thing that you believe is the root of the issue. When you continue this process, joining the dots of your past, letting go of what doesn't serve you, and stepping into the present with energy and confidence, imagine what your future could look like then. It becomes limitless. You become limitless. That process is precisely what I've done for myself and for my clients. It's how they've had incredible successes in their life, not just their career, their relationships, or their finances, but in every way possible. Happier, lighter, freer, calmer. Who wouldn't want more of that in everyday life? Along the journey of growing my business and understanding how my model helps people, my business name, The Holistic Hypnotherapist, was born. By the way, I've subsequently changed it, but hey, it's been black and white now. What are you going to do? The reason I actually chose that, just to bring the context to it, is because holistic approach was me, multi-modality, so lots of different models, and a holistic view, which is whole of life. That all still applies. You walk an individual journey, so you need a bespoke path tailored to you, one that's intuitive and real, and you are worthy of that. And this was just the beginning. Once I knew who I was and how my model helped people, the brakes were off. Let's get the reflections for this chapter and the whisper. The middle is where the magic happens, not when everything's perfect, but when you choose to keep walking away. Faith isn't knowing how it ends, it's trusting yourself enough to know, trusting yourself enough to begin again. And that is the end of that chapter. So I think Greg was there, but he might be off now. I know that you are going through airports and whatnot, so you may not be here now. So I'll see if you come back on. There's a couple of things I wanted to pull out of tonight. If you're listening on replay, please leave a comment, a question if you have one. I'd be more than happy to answer it for you. But there was a couple of parts of the book that I really wanted to expand on. Let me just dig into them. And it was about the ripple effect. So it's about when you, if you think about when you drop a stone in a river, right? What happens is you see it hitting the water, but then there's this ripple that happens and it spreads out, not just in one way, it's the entire thing. So it hits the center and then it just continues to expand. And of course, you see the ripple quite noticeable at the very beginning, but it still continues even gently all the way out. And ultimately, that's something that I know from that inner work, from looking at the areas in your life that you want to make a change on. If you can imagine that getting to the root is like the ripple, the root is like when the stone drops in. So all the parts before are all in the periphery, but they really get into the center of who you are. So then when you focus to drill down into the root and be really honest with yourself. I actually did a post about this on social media today. We often look for all these reasons why we're not content, happy, we don't have the money we want, we're not happy in our careers, our relationships, our body, whatever it might be. And we'll look externally because it's the safest thing to do. It's easier to pinpoint that something else or someone else is the problem. But actually, if you can firstly make the decision to take action, if you take ownership of your own life and how you want to live it, and the success that you want, and the happiness, the peace, the joy, the abundance, whatever that is that you want, if you can take ownership of that, that's the first thing. And then from there, what you want to do is start peeling that onion back. So if you think about when you drop the stone in and the ripples go out, it's the same thing. That's like the outer layers of the onion, and you keep peeling. So it might be, I feel stressed at work, I hate my job, I feel angry at life, I'm not happy with my weight, I feel too out of sync all the time. If you go all the way down, eventually you will find what sits at the root. And that there, when you find that out, then you can start that process of moving yourself forward. Because when you get to the root, you can start to join all the dots. You can make sense of it. You can figure out what I want to keep, what I want to let go. Where am I not sitting in the present? Where am I stuck in the past? Where am I stressed about a future that's not happened? So getting to the root of the problem will usually sit something about your belief systems. Well, that's what I often find with clients. Not thinking you're good enough, not thinking that a life that other than what you've got is available to you. God, if I was to think like that, and believe me, there were prolonged periods where the life that I was in it and just going along with it because I had no understanding. It was like I could see something out there, a glimmer of hope, but I just couldn't make sense of it. I couldn't make sense of why I was still so stuck. But what I know was it wasn't this person's fault, or because I was doing this poor behavior, or because I was stuck in this job, or no, these were all results of something internal with me. And when I went inward and realised where I wasn't showing up for myself, where I was not holding the mirror up to look at that person that I'd become, then I was really running away from a life that was available to me. And it's not easy to do it. My God, it's not easy. It's years in the making it's taken me, but it's not years in the making to experience a change, because you change along the whole journey. You just start consistently changing. So the ripple effect is the peeling the onion, get to the root of what's bothering you. And then once you do that, boom, that's when it's like dropping the stone back in. And then this time, instead of you peeling the onion and going inwards, it's the going outwards. It's the ripple effect where it impacts not just the part of you, but every facet of your life. So for me on this journey, it's been my relationships, how I've showed up with friendships, how I've understood where to set boundaries, how I've had the confidence to go after bigger dreams, how I've been able to change my career, how I've went back into studying, how I've learned how to show up in social media. That all wasn't born in one day. That wasn't the day I said, oh, I'm going to just, sort my life out here and stop screwing things up for myself. No, that decision was made first, and I still fell down a lot, still made loads of mistakes. But if you don't pause long enough to look at yourself and go, right, what is it really, if I'm being honest with myself? Because if it's a job, get another one. If it's a bad relationship, what are you going to do about it? You're staying in it. That's a choice. Oh, I feel trapped financially. Yep, I felt trapped when financially in the bank. It was only me, mortgage, car. How do you leave a bank? How do you leave a secure position? Well, guess what? You save up and you make it happen. A lot of external things are completely fixable by making a change externally, but often there'll be something sitting within you that's stopping you doing that. I don't think I can get a better relationship. I don't think I'm worthy of finding a job that aligns with my principles and how I want to live my life. I don't think I'll be able to earn the same kind of money elsewhere. I can't lose weight because, or I don't like myself because there's all of these factors, but you have to go inward first to find out what is sitting at the core, because often what's sitting at the core will be something that's sabotaging you, because the body and the brain don't want new things, because as much as the brain likes novelty, and we do, if it stretches us too far, we freeze, we get fight or flight, because it's like, actually, this is a wee bit too scary for me. This is taking me out my comfort zone. Is this something that I really want? And the thing is, we think we won't survive whatever the thing is. So our body says, we're only made for survival, so this seems too much of a risk for me, so I won't bother doing it. But the reality is that only through doing these things that scare the bejesus out of us, my God, I'm doing them on this trip. I am connecting with different people, meeting new people, getting out of my comfort zone. I am booking solo travel, even within Italy. So I'm here in Puglia, as you all know, probably sick of listening to me. But I've booked myself 2 nights in Venice because I can, and because it's more important for me to go to Venice and live my best life and see something that I've wanted to go to for a long time than it is to sit here and feel safe in Monopoly. Because I'm familiar with Monopoly now, because I know the town and I know the streets, and I could travel up and down Puglia coastline. Oh, that's great. But it's not enough, because once you start to put that growth in motion, once you realize that you are so capable of doing hard stuff and stretching yourself out your comfort zone, that's when you break out of the mundane. That's when the monotony or the repetition that's been driving you insane starts to break away. So you've got to take action yourself. You've got to have a look and say, well, what is really at the root here of me stopping myself doing what it is that I want? Yes, there's going to be constraints. Yes, there's going to be better times than others to go on a fitness journey, to find a new partner, to go on dates, to buy a house, to change your career. There is better times than others, but there's also a factual part of there's a lot of logic in sometimes the best time is just to get on with it. It's just to look at it and think, well, what's the worst that could happen here? If I'm not living proof to anyone that knows me or that watches these things that you will still survive, even if you do things that seem a bit off the wall, then I don't know what else to tell you. I'm living proof of that. And it doesn't mean it's easy. It means it's full of sacrifice. But if it's what you want, I was talking to somebody actually yesterday, maybe today, yesterday, that there's so many things I still don't have in my life, but one of the things that I've got, which is what I always wanted, or what I realised I wanted, was I've got freedom. I've got freedom of time. I am time rich, so I can make decisions that suit me and my lifestyle. It means that I make sacrifices in other areas. I have to leave my family. I don't see my nieces every day. I don't always have a significant, massive flow of income, but what I do is very comfortable and it's always growing. I'm in a place of evolution right now. I've just wrote the book, hosted the retreats. I'm building out this channel. I'm learning about everything, all YouTube tech. So I'm growing and expanding while sacrificing. But what I've not sacrificed is the big thing that I want, which is freedom, total freedom, autonomy over my time. And that might not be something that interests everyone. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. I'm trying to just prove a point that whatever it is that you think that you want, whatever's at the core of it, if you want a new job, why? What is it you want it for? If it's because you want more money, fine, accept that the job's probably not going to set the header in fire, but get the job for the money. What are you going to do with the money? You're going to do the things that you always dreamed of so that gives you the fulfillment. Brilliant. It's like figuring out, well, what is it I want to change for? So that was my soapbox about the ripple effect. Anyone's got any contribution in that, by all means, fire away. The other thing that I wanted to say about this one was in about that whisper there. I quite liked that one. Oops. The middle is where the magic happens, not when everything is perfect, but when you choose to keep walking anyway. Faith isn't knowing how it ends, it's trusting yourself enough to begin again. Now, that one is a huge factor in the journey that I've been on, especially. So, for example, that having that faith, do you know what it always reminds me of? You know the Indiana Jones film where he has to cross the sides of the mountains and he's told to put faith and he puts one foot out and it's a big open canyon and he puts his foot out and then the path appears. Every time I think about walking in faith, that's what I think of, probably showing my age here. So it's exactly the same for you. You don't have to know every single step, but you have to know why you're going to the other side, at least with some level of intention. And then put your faith that the steps will show up. And then once the first step appears and then the second, what you thought the path was going to be. So if you imagine, oh, I think it's going to be straight through, there's a high probability you'll take 2, 3, 4 steps, and then something here will open up and you'll think, wow, I didn't know that that was possible. I didn't know that that was even available, but you wouldn't if you never got off the starting block. So thinking about putting the faith in yourself, the unknown, God, my whole book's about that. It's not about not being strategic. It's not about being cavalier and flippant and making such crazy decisions that you're crashing your life. It's not about that, but it's about trusting your gut, silencing those parts of you that are constantly jumping in to tell you it's not possible, and saying, how can I make it possible for 1 or 2 steps? And then putting your faith that whatever is meant to happen. And I know everyone that listens to these sofa chats, and I know quite a few of you personally, and I know that if there's something bothering you right now, you will have an example of a time in your life where you did something that was in total blind faith, and somehow it all came together, probably even in a better way than you imagined. So every time you think about making a change now, every time you think about how you would like something to be different, go back to that time when you did something that you think, my God, where did that come from? Where did the belief in myself come from that that would work out for me, and apply it, because you're still the same person. You still have the same drive. You still have the same belief in yourself. But often we get into these comfort zones where we stop trusting ourselves because the noise is too big in daily life, far, far too chaotic. Quieten the noise. Come on here, get a golden nugget of inspiration. Take this as your time to get a reset and go, right, okay, come on here, let's have it, let's see what's what. And just absolutely have faith that you are the person that took risks before. You are the person that stepped into the unknown. You've done it before. You stepped away from a comfort zone at some point in your life and shocked yourself about how far you've come. Why would it not be possible again? So I'm going to leave that with you tonight, because I think that's going to give some people some food for thought. I'd love to hear any feedback, even if it's just in the comments from the followers on the watching it on the replay. Please leave me some commentary, because it helps spread the message and it helps other people get access to the videos. If you think anyone else would enjoy sofa chats, please, please, please recommend me to them by sending the link and asking them to subscribe, because I'm sure lots of people would get a lot out of it. Same with my book. Please share the link with anyone you think would benefit from getting a mirror held up to them and expanding their life in a really good, positive way. So thanks for tonight, everybody, and I will love you and leave you. And if you haven't subscribed, please, please, please do, because it helps me grow the channel. Bye for now. You're welcome. Who was on? Magical Crafting Club and Greg.